Welcome to the Crystal Self-Healer Podcast. I'm Carissa Weaver. On this podcast, we blend the magic of crystals with the science of psychology to help you break free from chaos, ditch the overwhelm, and master your emotions so you can have more energy, get more done, and feel better every day. Get ready to unlock your intuition and restore your true power as we cover how you can transform your life using crystals and self-awareness. Are you ready to get started? All right, let's go. Not that long ago, inside the Charmed community, I was asked how I became so knowledgeable about crystals. First, I'm flattered to be seen as knowledgeable. And second, I'm honored to be able to support so many lovely women in the private Facebook group. I was certified as a crystal healer and advanced crystal master through the Hibiscus Moon Crystal Academy, spending almost 2 years learning, studying, and practicing the craft. I also spent another year studying metaphysics through the IMHS Metaphysics Institute. I want you to know that just because I took this path, you don't have to in order to have the same knowledge and connection to your crystals. In this episode, we are going to cover the one thing blocking your crystal practice so you can start to trust yourself and your intuition. Most often, when women are joining the Charmed community, some of the biggest questions they ask revolve around how to know which crystal to use, or they have confusion about what crystal is for what. They feel overwhelmed by the choices, unsure of where to start, and afraid of choosing the wrong one. Beneath these questions, there is a deeper issue. Many of us have been conditioned to doubt our own inner knowing. When we don't trust ourselves, it's natural to seek external validation, which leads to the confusion and hesitation about crystal use. We've learned to downplay our intuition and overlook what we already know. From a young age, we're taught to value outside sources of knowledge over our internal guidance. This conditioning trains us to believe that others are more qualified to make decisions for us, even when it comes to something as personal as selecting a crystal. This lack of self-trust is a major barrier for many women who are drawn to crystal work but don't feel confident in their ability to choose or use them effectively. Part of the issue is that we live in a society that places a high value on institutional learning. While academic institutions and the education system have their merits, there's a tendency to overemphasize external knowledge and downplay intuitive wisdom. This creates a dynamic where people, especially sensitive and empathic women, feel they need to know more before they can take action. They're waiting for permission or a sign that they are qualified enough to engage with their crystals. When you don't believe in your ability to make the right choices for yourself, it can lead to a cycle of uncertainty and procrastination. You might find yourself constantly looking for the right answer in books or asking others for guidance rather than trusting your own intuition and experiences. This self-doubt erodes your sense of empowerment and keeps you from developing a deeper, more personal relationship with your crystals. For many women, the real barrier isn't a lack of knowledge, but a lack of belief in themselves. They've absorbed the idea that they need someone else to tell them what to do, and this reliance on external validation creates a disconnect between themselves and the healing tools they're drawn to. Instead of using crystals as a natural extension of their intuitive abilities, they feel stuck in a loop of needing to know more before they can trust their choices. This lack of self-belief is at the heart of the confusion and hesitation many women experience when they start working with crystals. Without self-trust, it's hard to fully engage in any practice, especially one that is as personal and intuitive as crystal healing. The more they doubt themselves, the more distant they feel from the very practice they crave to integrate into their lives. When I reflect on my journey as a student of crystals, there were a few key realizations that would have made a huge difference for me early on. The biggest one, understanding that it's not just about gathering knowledge or memorizing metaphysical properties. What I came to see is that there's a gap, a delta, between knowing crystals from books and truly embodying the practice of working with them. And that gap is built on something deeper, a belief in yourself. The beautiful thing about crystals is that they meet you exactly where you are. Whether you're brand new to working with them or have been practicing for years, they don't require you to have everything figured out. While the crystal books can tell you a lot about their metaphysical properties, those descriptions are really just one piece of the puzzle. What's happening on an energetic level when you work with crystals is far more nuanced. You don't always need to steer the ship or know exactly what layer of your energy body is being healed. But this requires a mindset shift from trying to control the experience to trusting it. Crystals also aren't single-faceted in their ability to support us. Their atomic and mineralogical makeup holds important keys to how they interact with our energy, but the reality is that they're multifaceted tools. They can help you in more ways than just one, and that's what's so important to recognize. While the books will tell you that rose quartz is for love and amethyst is for intuition, that doesn't have to limit how you can personally benefit from working with that crystal. And over time, the law of averages might guide you toward the common experience expressed in the books. What tripped me up the most when I was starting out wasn't a lack of resources or knowledge. It was my own self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and limiting beliefs. I was so wrapped up in worrying about whether I was getting it right, constantly second-guessing myself. The fear of failing and the idea that I wasn't good enough to truly understand or use crystals the right way kept me from diving deeper in my practice. The biggest thing I wish had been available to me back then was the opportunity to work through all the ways I was making my learning harder for myself. With the self-doubt and the constant need to validate everything I was doing, I spent so much time trying to fit into someone else's definition of success with crystals instead of trusting what I already knew. This is where I see so many women getting stuck. Limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and imposter syndrome show up like roadblocks on the path to a rewarding practice. You might feel like you're not knowledgeable enough, not spiritual enough, or just not capable of making the kind of connection with your crystals that you see others having. And it's these beliefs that end up holding you back more than any lack of information ever could. What I've learned is that the real work isn't in memorizing crystal properties or perfecting techniques. It's in untangling the self-doubt and limiting beliefs that are getting in your way. It's about recognizing that the fear of failing or the need to get it right is simply part of the process, but it doesn't define you or your ability to grow in your practice. Inside the Crystal Self-Healer Members Portal, we work on exactly that, building the belief in yourself, unpacking those limiting beliefs, and releasing the imposter syndrome that keeps you stuck. I've created a space where you don't just learn about crystals, but where you also have the support to work through all the ways you've been making your learning more difficult than it needs to be. When you release these doubts and fears, the transformation in your crystal practice and in your life is profound. This is about more than just crystals. It's about believing in your own ability to heal, to learn, and to trust yourself. And when you shift from a place of self-doubt to a place of confidence, everything in your practice begins to flow. That's what I want for you. Freedom from the limitations that hold you back and the space to fully step into your power as a crystal self-healer. What I realized in my own practice is that the real magic happens when you allow space for integration. It's one thing to study the crystals and learn what each one is supposed to do, but it's another thing entirely to apply that knowledge consistently and trust your own experience with the crystals. The more I practiced, the more I could see how certain crystals were working with my energy in ways that went beyond the textbook definitions. This is why the ability to integrate what you're learning is so important. It's also why the Crystal Self-Healer Members Portal offers lifetime access. Learning about crystals isn't a one-time thing, and your personal growth doesn't stop the moment you gain a new skill. It's like being on a spiral staircase. Each time you circle up, you experience the same things in your life, but with new perspectives, new challenges, and new opportunities for growth. Crystals are your companion on that journey, but self-belief is the key to making it all work. What I've seen time and again is that lacking belief in yourself will stop you in your tracks every time. You can have all the crystal books in the world, but if you don't trust your own ability to choose, to feel, and to work with those crystals, it's going to be hard to develop a truly rewarding practice. This is where so many women get stuck, not in their knowledge, but in their confidence to use what they know. We live in a world that often pushes a just do it mentality. But for empath and sensitive women, that energy can feel like more pressure rather than encouragement. It can feel like you're being asked to force something, which adds to the stress and overwhelm you're already feeling. What you really need is a space to unfold, to experiment, and to learn in a way that honors who you are. That's exactly what the portal provides, a space to unpack it all, to believe in yourself, and to create a crystal practice that feels authentic to you. There is no one right way to work with crystals, and that's something I really want to emphasize. We've all experienced different things, and we all see the world through the lenses shaped by our unique experiences. When you allow yourself to step into your own process, you'll find that the crystals you work with show up for you in ways that are incredibly personal. The more you believe in your ability to connect with them, the more intuitive and effective your practice will become. The structure of the Crystal Self-Healer Members Portal is designed to help you recognize the patterns in your life that are keeping you stuck. By doing the work, you're able to decide how you want to show up in the world. Crystals become part of this self-discovery process, helping you shift your energy and break through these old patterns. But again, it all circles back to the foundation of belief in you and your practice. I invite you to work with me inside the Members Portal. Here you'll have an opportunity to build your knowledge, your confidence, and a crystal self-healing practice that empowers you to move beyond overwhelm and chaos. It's about feeling better every day, but more importantly, it's about trusting that you are capable of guiding your own healing. One of the modules inside the portal focuses specifically on intuition, how to recognize it, how it communicates with you, and how to trust it when you're working with crystals. This is such a critical part of crystal healing because your intuition will always guide you to the right crystal for your needs, even when you're not consciously aware of what those needs are. For example, when you're selecting a crystal, go with where you feel drawn. Don't overthink it. That's one of the most common ways we trip ourselves up, by trying to intellectualize the process rather than trusting our gut. If a crystal feels good, or it's sparkly, or it just catches your eye for any reason, that's enough. You don't need a deep, logical reason. The crystal you choose will often align with exactly what you need. In fact, I often recommend working with the crystal for a while before you even look up what its metaphysical properties are. 9 times out of 10, you'll find that it matches what you were looking for or what you needed without you even knowing it. And that's the beauty of this work. When you trust yourself and let the crystals support you, everything starts to align. This journey isn't about memorizing facts or following strict rules. It's about building self-belief and allowing yourself the space to explore. And when you start to believe in yourself, you'll find that your crystal practice transforms into something far more powerful and rewarding than you ever imagined. Today's episode has been brought to you by all the crystals, the law of averages, and self-belief. May we all honor the law of averages, strengthen our self-belief, and embrace our ability as a crystal self-healer. Blessed be, my friends. All right, my friends, that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you for joining me here today on the Crystal Self-Healer podcast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review, and take the What Crystal is Best for You quiz linked in the show notes. Join me again next week as we continue to demystify crystals, how your brain works, and how you can use them so you can have more energy, get more done, and feel better every day.